Kamala, how are you doing?
So far, so good. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good. Always.
Looking forward to a very informative session with you this afternoon.
Definitely. Pleasant good afternoon to the listeners of 106.5 FM. Always a pleasure to be here discussing health from a natural and integrated perspective. And as you so rightly mentioned, you mentioned Hippocrates and what he said as regards to making your food thy medicine and your medicine your food. And that's primarily one of the foundations of integrative medicine, where the approach is from a nutritional dietary perspective. The unfortunate thing is, though, a lot of persons do not understand that in the realm, for want of a better expression, of integrated medicine, when you're speaking about nutrition, nutrition is so broad and vast in what it encompasses. A lot of people may just be familiar with vitamins. So persons will be familiar with vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, whether it's water-soluble or fat-soluble vitamins. They might be familiar with minerals, so they might be familiar with magnesium, calcium, and that type of thing. But, nutrition encompasses so much more, because you have things like phytonutrients, which is plant nutrients, and then you have different aspects associated with that, from enzymes, different mushrooms, and that type of thing. So, it's quite broad in its scope, and as regards to what it really does, antioxidants and those type of things. The topic that I decided to speak about today, which is something we're going to continue for maybe about the next week, 2 weeks, is the topic of poor circulation and how important circulation is for in order for one to really enjoy optimal health. When you really look at circulation in the human body, it's quite extensive. I mean, when you look at the blood vessels associated with circulation, you have your arteries, which are the largest in diameter. Then you have your veins, which are the second largest, but they are more elastic than the arteries. And then you have the capillaries, which are primarily the finest, or what is responsible for microcirculation. If you were to take all those blood vessels and attach them to each other, they would actually give you a length of about 66,000 miles, which is the circumference of the Earth 2.5 times. So that's to just help persons to understand, or to really picture how extensive circulation is in the human body. And then when you look at the endothelial lining of the blood vessels, your blood vessels are lined with cells known as endothelial cells. And these cells play a significant role as it relates to circulation, especially as it relates to the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas that is produced in the body that plays a significant role in the importance as it relates to vasodilation and vasoconstriction, so the opening and closing of blood vessels. So circulation in itself is very in-depth. The problem is, when you have a issue with poor circulation, it can be very, it could be the point of being very detrimental or even fatal. And a perfect example would be someone who's a diabetic. A diabetic who is plagued by poor circulation usually ends up losing toes, losing limbs. There are some persons who are amputees as a result of poor circulation. Right, so that's just to highlight how important circulation is in the body, especially from a cellular level. Now, one of the things we do at Batson and Associates in terms of our diagnostic apparatus is the live nutritional blood cell analysis, the dry blood analysis. And a lot of persons do not understand that blood is the most important witness, in the sense that it has the ability to tell past, present, and future, especially as it relates to circulation. And when we do the blood analysis with the high-powered electron microscope, one of the things that we're actually able to determine is the condition and the level or the efficiency of one's circulation. And then we do something known as the magnetic resonance analysis, which has the ability to tell us the amount of blood going to your brain, and really gives us a clear picture of how effective and efficient one's circulation is. So that's very important, especially to someone who's a diabetic. It is also very important to someone who may have glaucoma, which is high ocular pressure. So whether you have open-angled or closed-angled glaucoma, definitely you have a situation where your circulation, especially in the cerebral hemisphere, which is in the brain, is significantly compromised. If you are a person who has hypertension, especially if you have been diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension, again, it is a clear indicator that you have a circulation problem. So that's one of the things that we're going to look at. Of course, we welcome your questions and your feedback as regards to what we discuss. And of course, your questions doesn't necessarily have to be only, or have to rather only pertain to what we're discussing, but it could also be as regards to any, health situation or the products and services at Batson and Associates. So let me just give you those telephone numbers. Keep in mind our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Batson and Associates Limited. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. And on YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. Those telephone numbers are 222-8261. That's 222-8261, as well as 314-9975. That's 314-9975. And that number is the WhatsApp. So if you may want to send a detailed message to us regarding information or any health issue that you may have, you can send it on that WhatsApp number there. Okay?
All right. It's 23 and a half minutes after 12 o'clock. Dr. Jason Batson is live on Akashvani 106.5 FM. And actually, the program is going until 1 o'clock today, Dr. Batson.
Oh, yeah,
My
yes.
apologies.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So Dr. Batson is with us for an extra 15 minutes today. And if you have any questions, we are discussing circulation, but if you have any other health questions, call in 627-3223, 625-2257. You can also WhatsApp your questions to 306-1065. Over to you, Dr. Batson.
Definitely. So what are some of the symptoms or the symptomology associated with poor circulation? So we're going to look at poor circulation in the lower extremities, which is systemic circulation. So we're looking at your legs and that type of thing. So if you have problems with pins and needles, cramping in your calves, burning under your feet, poor circulation. If you have ever been to a doctor and you've been told that you have DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis, well, you have a serious poor circulation problem, that could actually kill you overnight, because it would mean that you are a person who are prone to clots. Now, and you may be put on things like warfarin, Clexine, those type of things, which one needs to be very careful, because if they give you warfarin to take for the rest of your life, you have some challenges there. So again, we need to look at the circulation from its entirety, from the root cause. If you have poor pulmonary circulation, you're going to experience problems with your head. So when I say with your head, it means you're going to have problems with dizziness. So if you find you're one of those persons, you're always dizzy, the room's spinning when you get up in the morning, you have to wait a long while before you catch yourself because you have the situation with being very dizzy. Or maybe you might be driving at a point in time and you just, you have to stop the vehicle because you have problems with dizziness. If all of a sudden you're having problems with blurred vision, you're seeing things like halos or dark spots, or you're seeing things moving in front of your eyes, that could also be an indication of poor circulation in the cerebral hemisphere. Memory problems, that's a strong giveaway. Strong giveaway of problems with poor circulation in the brain. Also, as it relates to situations associated with even your complexion, because some persons, when you have poor circulation, by the side of your temple is usually very dark, under your eyes, very black. Your forehead, across the forehead, very dark. That is also an indication of poor circulation. Your neck, to the back of your neck there, that is usually, some people have a very dark ring under the neck or the side of the neck or the back of the neck, which usually a lot of people point to diabetes. And yes, it is an indicator of diabetes, but it's also an indication of poor circulation. So that's something that you need to pay too close attention to. If you are hypertensive, I do not care what it is you are told, you have a poor circulation problem, especially if you have been diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension. Very, very important. If you have problems with frequent headaches, whether you have been diagnosed with cluster headaches or migraine headaches, headaches are headaches. If you have headaches, it is an indication that you need to pay attention to yourself. It can be a serious indicator of poor circulation that could actually lead to brain aneurysms. I've known of cases where persons had headaches, serious headaches for 2-3 months. And when they went and they were examined properly, CT scans, MRIs, it was discovered that they had brain aneurysms. And of course, emergency surgery would have had to be done. So you don't want to be in that category. The old people have a saying, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I was fortunate to grow up with very old people, and that is something I believe in and carry throughout my life, you know, as especially as it relates to our health. The problem with Trinidadians or people, the Caribbean people, is that we are not proactive with our health. We are very reactive. You know, you get a stroke and then you're trying to be running up and down like a mad person. You know, in some cases, instances, it is too late, or the work and the expense that it takes to correct that situation is, you know, I mean, it's very expensive. If you have to do physiotherapy after a stroke, you're looking at, it could go into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, you know, it's always better to be proactive as opposed to be reactive where those things are concerned. So if it is, you know, you're observing those things, you know, dizziness, problems with your eyesight, elevated blood pressure. I am a person, I don't make joke with blood pressure. I don't. Because, excuse me, if you have hypertension and you have to be taking a bag of medication, something is wrong with you. You are just a matter, or you're just a few steps away from a medical emergency. Whether it is a brain aneurysm, whether it is a pulmonary embolism, whether it is a stroke, whether it is ischemic stroke or a hemorrhagic stroke, you are just a matter of time away from a situation. Renal failure, possibly as well. You know, just recently I had a client I dealt with, when they came to me, female. From the time I saw this client, I said, listen to me, you have a kidney problem, you know. And they was like, you serious? I said, yes. And then when I was looking at the numbers and looking at the tests, I was reviewing the test that Ms. Ramdan would have done. I wasn't impressed with the circulation. It was quite compromised. The person had serious elevation of blood pressure over an extended period of time, I think about 10, 15 years. And they were actually using, they had to use enalapril, they were using nifedipine, and they also had to use LASIK. And they were using this for a number of years. So I told them, I said, listen to me, just with this alone, I know that you have a kidney problem. So we send them to have a GFR done, which is glomerular filtration rate, which will tell you the level of your kidney. And just as I had anticipated, the person had stage 4 kidney. So we're actually now working with them, and they're starting to see some great improvement. The blood pressure has significantly decreased. The doctor was actually able to reduce some of the blood pressure medication. So as opposed to taking 6 tablets, which they were taking before, they're now taking, it has come down to 3. So that's a great improvement, because the kidneys are now getting less work. Because keep in mind, if you have a kidney problem and you are being put on medication, you always run the risk of your kidney failing on you. Especially if you're doing things like chemotherapy, radiation, if you're using things like steroids, if you're doing prednisolone and those type of things, serious antibiotics, you run the risk of developing serious kidney problems where you could actually suffer renal failure and have to be placed on emergency dialysis. So that's something that you always need to pay attention to. If your doctor has advised you of that, good. If they haven't, well, then you're getting advice now. You need to pay very close attention to that. And usually hypertension is very easy to deal with, you know, but it requires some lifestyle change, which sometimes a lot of y'all, you know, is a matter of being licorice. There are things that you have to leave out of the diet, and you're maybe not willing to do that. I mean, if you're not willing to do that, well, then face your consequences. But if you really want change and you want to get better, then that is something that you're going to have to do. So that's something that you need to pay very, very close attention to. Okay, keep in mind, Kamala, you could always remind them about the number for the questions, or I don't know if we have any questions as yet.
We do have quite a bit of questions on the WhatsApp, but if listeners would like to speak to Dr. Jason Batson, he's here until 1 o'clock. You can call 627-3223, 625-2257. You can also send your questions to the WhatsApp 306-1065. The topic this afternoon, poor circulation, but we do have some other questions, Dr. Batson, on the WhatsApp.
Good.
Someone is asking, what causes high calcium?
Oh, that's a very good question. Usually if you have a problem with high calcium, it is an indication of some sort of severe acidosis situation in the body. Whether it's lactic acidosis, whether it's gout, which is excess uric acid, whether it is a situation where your body constantly has to be fighting an acidic situation, and as a result of that, it has to be taking calcium from your bones. Remember, your bones are comprised of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. It is stored in your bones in the form of calcium phosphate. Your thyroid is the organ that is responsible for sending a message to your brain to tell your brain how much calcium it needs to remove from your bones to send into your bloodstream. So if you have a problem with excess calcium, it means that you have an acidosis situation that needs to be addressed. And that is why the calcium is being deposited. It's not like you have too much calcium, but calcium is being deposited in places that it is not supposed to be because of dealing with that acidic situation. That's what's going on there.
So how do you correct that? How do you correct that?
It's a matter of alkaline in the body. Now, you hear a lot of people speaking about alkaline in the body, alkaline in your body. I mean, at Batson Associates, we are advocate or strong advocates of alkaline in the system. But what people have to understand that is that your entire body would never be alkaline. That is impossible. So different parts of your body or different aspects of your body needs alkalinity. Your blood, for example, human blood is slightly alkaline. It carries a pH of 7.3 something. Oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood is alkaline, but it's just off by point something. But when you look at the pH of your mouth, for example, the pH of your mouth and saliva is supposed to be acidic, which is 6.4. The pH of your urine as well is supposed to be slightly acidic. You cannot have alkaline urine. That's virtually impossible. Something will be wrong with you if that happens. So when we're talking about acidity, alkalinity, and alkaline in the body, you have to understand where that alkalinity really applies in the body in its entirety. Okay.
12:33 and a half. Dr. Jason Batson is with us this afternoon on Akashvani 106.5 FM. Our lifelines are open 627-3223, 625-2257, and our WhatsApp number 306-1065. Next question on the WhatsApp, Dr. Batson. What causes heel pain and heel spurs?
Again, excellent question. And just as I highlighted, an individual who suffers from heel spur or heel pain is an individual who has a lot of acid. Now, what your body is going to do, remember, as I told you before, is going to pull calcium from your bones, but it's going to take calcium from the areas that are easiest to be compromised or affected by inflammatory response. So your heels are usually a very easy area for you to experience that pulling of the calcium. So then you end up with heel spurs, because the spurs is like a pointy aspect where you actually feel like a bulge or a bump under the heel. So an individual who has that, what you need to do, you need to get like a tennis ball, and you actually do some sort of therapy with it. So every morning when you get up, you can actually take the ball, rest the heel of your foot under the ball, and roll it, keep rolling it around. So what it does, it actually helps to push back in that bone that actually begins to protrude. And then you make a correction where your diet is concerned. At Batson Associates, there's a product that we carry called Alkagen water. Now, I'm a huge advocate of alkaline water. Once it's really alkaline water, you're drinking, right? Because what it does, it actually helps to bring about some balance in what we're discussing, especially persons with musculoskeletal situations. So heel spur is a perfect example of excess acidosis in the body. Osteoarthritis is also a perfect example of that. Rheumatoid arthritis, to some extent, is also an indication of acidosis in the body, but it is also an indication of high levels of inflammatory response or inflammation in the body. So it's a matter of sorry, go ahead.
Dr. Batson, can I just interrupt you for a moment?
Of course.
I believe we have a call coming in. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, hi, good afternoon.
Varicose veins in my legs and my ankles.
Okay.
Dr. Batson.
All right. So the varicose veins that you have, this is a recent thing? They recently started to come up, or is something you have a long time?
I had it a little while. I did laser surgery and came back.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Well, you could listen off the air. I'll explain. All right. Now, the thing with varicose veins, you need to be very careful. The condition is actually known as varicosis, right? Now, the way the blood vessels in the legs are designed, there are some things that appear to be valves. They look like leaflets. So if it is, you get a picture from the perspective of anatomy and physiology, you will actually see them. They actually look like V's that's supposed to be at a particular angle. Now, what happens to that? It helps so the blood doesn't pool in the legs, in the lower extremities. So people who have varicosis or experience varicose veins, is like your valves not closing off properly. So you actually have blood pooling in the lower extremities. Can that situation be corrected properly? and from a natural perspective without surgery, yes, it can be. It does require some work in the sense that, one, you will have to do elevating your foot on a regular basis. I don't have anything against circulation stockings, but you need to be very careful with those because it can actually further exacerbate that situation. So you're looking from a dietary perspective, you need proper hydration. So you should be drinking large amounts of water. Your body weight divided by 2 in ounces is usually the formula for drinking water. So again, let's say if you weigh 160 pounds, half of 160 is 80. You're supposed to be drinking about 80 ounces of water on a daily basis, minimally. If you have bad circulation and bad varicose veins, I do not suggest you drink coffee. Coffee is something you should remove entirely from your diet. And then now we need to add different aspects as it relates to supplementation and clinical nutrition to actually address and strengthen the circulation in the body. One of the things I started speaking about at the genesis of the program was something known as nitric oxide. Now, the precursor to nitric oxide is L-arginine and something known as L-citrulline, which are 2 amino acids. And your body actually utilizes that to produce nitric oxide, which is a whole sort of extensive process in the body. But the thing is, once your nitric oxide levels are optimal or are being corrected nutritionally, you find that varicosis significantly improves. And that's something that we carry at Batson & Associates. There are supplements that we have that could address that situation. There's a tea that we carry called circulation tea. We never have enough because a lot of people use it and you get very good results with varicose veins, spider veins, that type of thing. It helps with circulation, both in the lower extremities and circulation, pulmonary circulation, which is above the heart. So I could always give you some further advice where that is concerned. You could always contact the office. Keep in mind our telephone number, again, is 222-8261. That's 222-8261, as well as 314-9975. That's 314-9975. Exercise is also valuable as well. You don't have to do any intense exercise, but some sort of maybe brisk walking. You don't have to go in a savannah or something like that, depending on the size of your yard or your house. You could just do up and down, up and down, up and down until you cover a certain distance. But it does help in addressing circulation. Okay.
12:40. It's 12:40. Dr. Jason Batson is live on Akashvani 106.5 FM. If you have any questions, you can call us right now, 627-3223-625, 2257, or WhatsApp your questions to 306-1065. Dr. Batson's here until 1 o'clock. Dr. Batson, our next question via the WhatsApp. Dr. Batson, I often feel very bloated. Some days my tummy looks swollen, other days it looks flat. Also, there are times that I feel very nauseous for no reason. Sometimes immediately after eating, I tend to feel like throwing up.
Oh, okay. The thing is that, and interestingly, some programs are back, we discussed acid reflux and GERD, which is gastrointestinal reflux disease, and constipation and that type of thing. Now, that is something that you need to correct, because your gastrointestinal system is the most important organ system in the body. You have 11 organ systems that comprise the entire body. Your most important organ in your body is your colon. There is no disputing that. Anyone who's telling you otherwise, they're in word, they're waiting gold. They're talking nonsense. So it means that you have some sort of gastric issue if you have a lot of flatulence, gas, bloating. What I suggest you do from the home perspective, do not eat and drink simultaneously. If you're doing that, stop it. I'm hoping that you have all your teeth in your mouth, and I'm not attempting to be facetious or anything, because people who have plates, it makes it difficult for them to really chew their food properly. So I'm hoping that, you have your full grill in your mouth, right? Chew your food properly. What I suggest you do as well, stop drinking cold water. Do not, I've said this on numerous occasions, cold water internally or cold is detrimental to the human body. If you look at Ayurvedic medicine, you look at Chinese medicine, you look at Oriental medicine, which is basically Chinese with a little bit of Ayurvedic mix up there inside it, you would realize they talk about things like prana and vita, and the Chinese would talk about your qi and yin and yang and that type of thing. Now, those are very serious things because that actually encompasses the energy aspect of the body. Because your body, you have 5 different bodies, right? You have your spiritual body, which is your first body or the top body. Below that body, you have what is known as your supramental body, which is your subconscious mind. Then below that body, you have your mental body, which is your conscious mind. And then below that body, you have your vital body, which is your energy body. So cold internally affects your energy body. And what it does, it slows down your body's ability to properly digest or assimilate food. So no cold water. If you want a very big belly very quickly, drink cold water and you'll realize. That's why most people have very large stomachs and their stomach gives them a lot of problems to go down because of that. Stop drinking cold water. As I said, do not eat and drink simultaneously. What I also suggest you do, include a lot of hot teas throughout the day. Right? So whenever you're drinking what you would have normally drink as water, you can now replace it as tea or consume the water warm, or like how you would drink tea. Right? What that will actually do now is remove a lot of the gas and bloating from the intestines. There are some products that we carry at Batson & Associates that address that. There's one that I like, is actually one of my favorite products. It's a product known as Digestive Balance. And what Digestive Balance is basically digestive enzymes, but it also has prebiotics and probiotics. Now, the difference with that is that it actually helps in bringing back balance in the gastrointestinal system. Now, you would hear a lot of people using probiotics, but most people use probiotics incorrectly. Ideally, probiotics should not be used with your food. They should actually be used on an empty stomach, or I would normally use it with some sort of carrier product, which would be either the silver or the mineral formula, or we would use it with the chlorophyll. Now, the reason for that is that it would go into the blood. It would go into the bloodstream quickly and also actually help in bringing back that balance in the gastrointestinal system. So if you introduce some of those, you could get some results. The Alkagen water together with the Santulan is also very good. What is Santulan? Santulan is a product that we carry, which is a 7-channel detox. So it actually detoxifies your kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, lymphatic system, skin, and your lungs. Now, based on the laws of anatomy and physiology, you have 7 channels of elimination, which I just called there, right? So kidney, colon, bloodstream, liver, lymphatic system, skin, and your lungs. Once you do a detox at that level, it automatically helps to improve your gastrointestinal function. Okay, so that's something that you could pay very close attention. The Digestive Balance, there's also something we carry called ProDigest, very good product, that actually has a lot of fiber in it, and it actually helps again to bring back the balance in the gastrointestinal system and help with that, the natural flora in that system to actually improve digestion over a period of time. Okay?
It's exactly 12:45, Dr. Jason Batson. Dr. Batson, are you hearing us? We are not hearing you. I don't know if your mic is muted. Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Yeah, I think we had a little technical, a little short or something there.
Yes, continue.
Okay, good. Yeah, someone is asking, keep in mind we're live on Instagram. On Instagram, we are Batson & Associates TT. On Facebook, we are Batson & Associates Limited. And on YouTube, we are Batson & Associates Trinidad. So let me just answer this question quickly. Arden Mommy is asking, hi, Dr. Batson, can you use Digestive Balance together with Gastro Tea? Thanks in advance. And the answer is yes. So there's also a tea that we carry called Gastro Tea. And the tea is basically designed for a lot of persons with gastrointestinal problems. How I actually started bringing that product, there was a young lady who came to us who had really bad gastrointestinal problems. I was doing some research to try and help her because she had some situations with this thing. She had irritable bowel syndrome, and she was experiencing serious inflammation in the gut. And she tried the tea. She took like about 30 bags and started using it. And I think she used it for 15 days because she used 2 bags a day, and she used the bags like about 3 times. And she got significant improvement. There was she used to have bloody stool that cleared up. She used to have a lot of problems with gastrointestinal imbalance, bloating, gas, flatulence, a lot of problems where she's slow bloated. It looks as if she's almost pregnant. And she actually got some good results with that. So that as well, for the listening audience, is also something that you can get to actually assist in bringing back balance to that digestive system. Okay?
It's 12:47. Dr. Jason Batson is on Akashvani 106.5 FM until 1 o'clock. You still have time to call in and ask your questions. 627-3223, 625-2257, or you can WhatsApp your questions to 3061065. Over to you, Dr. Batson.
Definitely. Now, when we're speaking about circulation as it relates, because someone asked a question too as well, where I was talking about the eyesight, and they're saying, if it is your experience in blurred vision, is that an indication of poor circulation? And the answer is most possibly it is. You see, what persons have to understand, you don't really see with your eyes. Your eye itself is not the only, and different parts of your eye, so your retina, optic nerve, that type of thing, are not the only things that are responsible for vision. Your brain plays a significant role in sight. But there are messages that must be relayed, and these messages is like somebody running a relay. You have a first leg, a third leg, first, second, third, fourth, and you have numerous legs. So in the body, there are various legs as it relates, for want of a better expression, in order for sight to be accomplished. So the thing is, if you do not have proper blood circulation to your brain, think about it. Blood transports what? Oxygen and nutrients to what? Tissues? No. They transmit it, or it is transferred to cells. And cells give you tissues give you organs, and organs give you organ systems. So for example, people who have detached retina or diabetic retinopathy, which is usually associated with diabetics, why do you think that happens to them? Because when you have diabetes significantly compromises what? Your circulatory system. So once your circulatory system begins to be compromised, the next system to be compromised is what? Your central nervous system. So your nerve's going to be affected. So when you end up with diabetic retinopathy or detached retina, it is because you have poor circulation in your brain and no other reason. So it is vitally important that circulation, especially in the cerebral hemisphere, be pertinent and the foremost when you're addressing a problem with your eye. And hence the eye drop, which quite unfortunately we do not have eye optics in stock, but God's willing we should get in about 2 weeks because they're already shipped and whatever the case may be. We're just waiting on certain things. And what that does is remove metabolic waste from your eyes. Now, notice what I just said. It removes metabolic waste. What is metabolic waste? Metabolic waste is waste that is produced in the body that needs to be excreted as a result of regular metabolism. So there are a lot of people out there who say, I don't need to clean and you don't need to take a purge and you don't need to, well, I'm not an advocate of purging. I'm an advocate of detoxing. There's two completely different things. So that is why detoxing is so important, because people will tell you, well, I have a bowel movement every day. I drink a lot of water. I'm a vegetarian. I don't do this. Listen to me. Regular metabolism, breaking down of things, digestion of food, breaking down of protein, would produce metabolic waste, which a lot of times is not properly excreted from the body. So when you have buildup of waste, especially in tissues and eventually in organs, they cause significant problems. Why you think people have these type of diseases? Autoimmune, what they call autoimmune diseases. So people who have lupus, people who have fibromyalgia, people who have connective tissue disorder, people with things like lichen planus, people with eczema, atopic dermatitis. What do you think all of that is? That is metabolic waste buildup in your tissues, and your skin and different organs are not responding to that because of the amount of waste or rubbish that you have backed up in your body. And that is why you're experiencing those symptomology. That's why, I tell persons, I use a very simple analogy with the mosquitoes. If you have stagnant water in your yard, right? You're going to get mosquitoes. What you're going to buy? You're going to buy spray. You're going to buy coxettes, whatever the case may be. But if you do that on Monday, or what today is? Today's Thursday. So you buy that Thursday, the mosquitoes might sort of dissipate by Friday. But by Saturday, you're going to have more mosquitoes. So the issue or the symptomology is your mosquito, The root cause is what? The stagnant water. So once the stagnant water is there, you will always have mosquitoes. And that basically, well, I think that's the easiest analogy I can use, is why people primarily are sick, When you're sick, it's because you either have too much of something or you have too little of something. Usually, inflammation is the too much. Acid, as I was explaining earlier, acid, especially lactic acidosis, you have too much of that in the body. So because you have an imbalance, the body is now attempting to do what? Your body always tries to maintain homeostasis or balance. That's like primary school biology. So the thing is, when you're out of balance or you're out of homeostasis, the body is going to attempt on its own to try to correct the situation. But if the body is not getting help from you, so your diet bad, you're drinking a lot of coffee, you're drinking a lot of soft drink, you're eating a lot of saturated fat, you don't exercise to save your life, you don't walk, you don't do anything. You basically exacerbating a situation and you're going to make yourself more sick. There are a lot of persons, let me say this quickly, which annoys me totally when people come and tell me that, well, not tell me that you are, but when you end up complicated. If you are complicated health-wise, it's just because you had bad advice all your life, you know? Plain talk, bad manners. You just get bad advice. Because you cannot start off being a diabetic. And then 10 years after, you have diabetes. Your diabetes worse, so you're type 1. Now you're type 2, now you're type 1, so you're using insulin. 10 years after, you have high blood pressure. 10 years after, you have cardiovascular disease. 10 years after, and you have arthritis and your kidney, something wrong with you. So if you was doing everything correct, how is it that you have gotten worse over a period of time? That don't make any sense. That don't make any sense at all. Think about it. That's like you're sending your child to school and you ain't doing nothing. You coming home from me and I only getting C, C, D, F, G. You only bringing us at a rubbish grades to me. Would I leave you in that environment? No, something is wrong. Something not working. I have to take you out of that school and send you somewhere else. So the same applies when you're looking at your health. What is it that you're not doing correct that have you sick still? Because when people tell you that you can't correct diabetes and you can't correct hypertension and you can't correct cardiovascular disease, how it is the Chinese and them don't have that situation? How? When you look at Singapore, you look at Japan, you look at Malaysia, you look at Korea, you look at Philippines, how come they don't have most of the problems that we have? What do they eat? Do they exercise? There are basic things that those people do. Japan has some of the most smokers in the world. Do the research. They have the lowest incidence of lung cancer in the world. Why? Because the Japanese, one of their staple is something known as fucoidan. Fucoidan is a marine phytoplankton that actually has anti-carcinogenic properties. What are carcinogens? Carcinogens are cancer-causing chemical. So they actually have substances in that marine phytoplankton that is actually anti-cancer, and that is in their staple. So it is obvious that they are now using something that is going to help to negate the negative effects of smoking, just based on their diet alone. So that's something that you need to pay very close attention. It is always in the dietary perspective. Look at the Eskimos. Why is it that the Eskimos have one of the lowest aspects associated with cardiovascular disease? What do Eskimo or people in that part of the world eat a lot of? Salmon. Salmon is rich in what? Omega-3, which is good for what? Cardiovascular health. It is always linked to your diet. Always. Okay, Mr. Kamala, sorry. We have any more questions? Sorry.
Dr. Batson, we're coming down to the last 4 minutes of today's program. We have another question on the WhatsApp. Someone who experiences urinary tract infections very often is asking why and what can they do to prevent it from happening so often and to alleviate it.
You definitely need to get Batson and Associates a visit. The thing is, if you're getting UTIs regularly, did they say, most likely, did they say female or male? Female, right, female, good. Women especially have that problem because they most likely have a situation with yeast. Now, what is yeast? Yeast is a fungi that is usually in the intestines, them fellas and them is be there. But when you end up with yeast overgrowth, which is what you don't want, it means you have pathogens that are in excess. Now, all living organisms do what? They eat and they excrete. So they create an environment that is conducive to infection. What you also need to do, pay attention to your water. The possibility exists that you are dehydrated. You're not drinking your proper water. So you need to pay attention to that. And you need to correct that situation. Once we correct the pH in those areas, then you're going to find that situation is going to become non-existent. There's a product we carry at Batson Associates called Silver with mineral formula. Very good for infections and pathogens and that type of thing, all natural. because usually you're given antibiotics. But what people have to understand is that most of the time you're dealing with a fungal infection and not a bacterial infection. Or sometimes it's a viral infection. So in a case like that, the antibiotics wouldn't really work. What the antibiotics is going to do is actually make it worse. You're going to get more yeast infection, more UTIs. So again, we need to deal with the root cause of the problem. You may need to get some female balance because there could also be some hormonal imbalance there as well. And once we do that, you shouldn't have any issues. Okay.
Coming now to the last minute and a half of today's program, Dr. Jason Batson with us here on Akashvani 106.5 FM. Dr. Batson.
Yes.
Closing.
So keep in mind, you could give us a call. Those telephone numbers again are 222-8261. That's 222-8261, as well as 314-9975. You can also visit us. So as we always say at Batson & Associates, if you think health is expensive, try sickness. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. God bless. Sorry.
Dr. Batson, next week, Thursday, are we going to continue with the same topic of poor circulation?
I believe we should, because, based on just the response alone I got here on social media, it's something that actually bothers and affects a lot of persons. So we could elaborate more next week, God's willing, and I believe next week we have the same amount of time, correct?
I'm not too sure about that.
Okay,
but we'll certainly find out.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Batson, for joining us this afternoon. It's been a pleasure having you. We look forward to having you next week, Thursday, 12:15 p.m. right here on Akashvani 106.5 FM. So you've been listening to Health Talk with Dr. Jason Batson, now of Batson and Associates. Visit them today on the first floor of the Money Talks Building, 182 Southern Main Road, Montrose, Chaguanas. Call them on 222-8261 or WhatsApp them on 314-9975. Health Talk on Akashvani 106.5 FM. All claims made with those of the advertiser and not of this station.
Yes. So a pleasant good afternoon again to our Instagram family. Facebook, you all must have said I treated you all bad today, boy. But the thing is, in terms of looking at the screen and actually advising you guys. So let me say a pleasant good day to Vanessa Anthony. She asked, do you have an eating plan with the detox product? Yes, we actually do. There's actually one that we actually doing some work on too as well, so we could always adjust it to individuals specifically. Someone is also asking the question, Miss Carol Rochester. A pleasant good afternoon, Dr. Batson. Do you have any meds for endometriosis, please, or any advice? Definitely, Miss Carol. When you deal with endometriosis, you're dealing with thickening of the uterine lining. There's a product that we carry called Enzyme Formula, which actually helps in breaking down that lining, increasing more blood flow and oxygen to the area, because that's one of the problems with women with endometriosis. They do not have proper circulation in the womb area, and that could actually contribute to a lot of problems. So definitely that's something that we could give you some help with. All right, so you guys, it's always a pleasure to be in your company. I wish I could sit down here and talk for like 5 hours with you all, but time doesn't allow me. Keep in mind, you could join us on Sunday, please God. Sunday, we have our program. On Sunday, we are from 9 Sundays. That's the first Sunday. So we're supposed to be on an hour, and I would most likely stay on an additional hour. So that'll be 2 hours. Okay, so you could always let your friends know. If you know some, you have a tanty, somebody who's sick, they're feeling well, and you figure this is something that would be able to benefit them, well, then feel free to invite them. Keep in mind that you can actually follow us on Instagram. We are Batson and Associates TT on Instagram. On YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. And on Facebook, we are Batson and Associates Limited. Someone is asking, last question I'll take, they're asking, how often should you use Santora? It depends. If you are looking at a goal where you have situations with this thing, you have problems with constipation, well, then possibly you could use the Santulan a little more often. You could use it like every other day after you would have done the month, which would have been 4 packs. But that's something that you need to pay very close attention to. And of course, you could actually do a maintenance where you do your 4 packs first, and then after that, you use 1 pack like every month. And you actually allow the 1 pack to last you out for the month. You might drink 2 glasses a week or something like that. And that will carry you to maybe for 1 month. So that's something that you could pay attention to. If you're looking at weight loss, well, then Santulan is something that you could use every day for maybe like about a year. I had a client who did that. They had serious issues with weight loss, and that was one of the things that helped them significantly. Okay, guys, so always a pleasure to be in your company. Remember, as we say at Batson and Associates, if you think health is expensive, try sickness. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Let me just answer this question very quickly. Kevin Brathwaite is asking, Doc, good day, what can be the cause of a recurring ear infection? You need some sort of your lymphatic system needs some work, because it means that the infection in the lymphatic system, the infection is not being flushed properly. So it's going to be coming back consistently. So you need to look at that. Your sinusitis or your sinus may need flushing as well. And once we do that, you shouldn't have a problem. Okay, you could always contact us. Those numbers again, 222-8261. That's 222-8261, as well as 314-9975. That is 314-9975. God bless, and you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.